anticipated and overdue, saying it aligns River State with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. Its public relations officer, Professor Atuboyedia Obianime, in an interview said Governor Fubara's decision goes beyond partisan politics and is a strategic step aimed at strengthening River State's relationship with the federal government to accelerate development. The forum further praised President Tinubu for intervening to prevent what it described as a politically motivated impeachment of the governor.
The state is peaceful. We also congratulate the governor for deeming it fit to move over to the APC. We believe by this action, the governor would have thought it that it is for the benefit of the Rivers people and their interests within the national level. So for that, we support him. It is in the interest of the Rivers people to support the direction in which the governor has chosen.
Professor Obianime said the governor has since assuming office demonstrated strong leadership and delivered tangible results despite political distractions. He also expressed appreciation to the people of River State for their continued support for the governor and called on them to remain steadfast. The forum pledged its support for the administration of President Tinubu.
We are totally in support and therefore we endorse the Tinubu administration for the next level and the next tenure. We will be failing in our duties if we do not rally and call upon the Rivers people to rally around and give news.
Come back.
Well, apologies for that. Now, in another development, the Independent National Electoral Commission has scheduled by-elections for February 21st, 2026 in Ahoda East Constituency 2 and Kana Constituency 2 in River State. INEC explains that the Ahoda East Constituency 2 seat became vacant after its lawmaker, Edison Ehie, resigned, while the Kana Constituency 2 seat became vacant following the death of its representative, Dinebari Lolo. Now, in a statement signed by the chairman of the Commission's Information, Voter Education and Publicity Committee, Mohammed Haruna, the electoral umpire says it approved the timetable and schedule of activities for the elections in line with the law at a meeting held on Monday in Abuja. According to the timetable, INEC will publish the election notice on January 22nd, 2026. Political parties will conduct their primaries between January 23rd and January 27th, while campaigns will run from February 8th to 19th ahead of the elections on February 21st. In other news, the federal government has approved compulsory drug testing for anyone seeking employment in the federal public service. The decision was announced on Monday in a statement from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. According to the government, the move is meant to reduce drug abuse and its negative effect on national development, workplace performance, and security. The government expressed concern over the growing rate of drug use, especially among young people, describing it as worrying. Now, to implement the policy, ministries, departments, and agencies have been directed to work with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to carry out the tests using approved standards. And now to security, the federal government has officially classified kidnappers and violent armed groups as terrorists. The announcement was made on Monday by the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, during the government's end-of-year press briefing in Abuja. Idris says the move means kidnapping and armed attacks will no longer be treated as ordinary crimes but as terrorism. He says this will improve intelligence sharing and help security agencies respond faster and more effectively. The minister adds that better cooperation among security agencies is already producing results, with 2 internationally wanted criminals arrested in 2025 through joint operations to protect rural communities. He says the government has started deploying trained forest guards to secure forests and remote areas used by criminals as hideouts. But not everyone agrees with the designation of terrorist groups by the federal government. Security expert Kabiru Adamu says only the courts have the power to declare a group a terrorist organization. Speaking on Channels Television on Monday, he explained that neither the president nor members of the cabinet have the legal authority to make such a decision under Nigerian law. Moving on now, the United States will begin a partial suspension of some visas for Nigerians from January 1st, 2026. The U.S. mission in Nigeria announced that the decision follows a new presidential order on border and national security. Nigeria is among 19 countries affected by the measure. Under the new rule, the U.S. will limit the issuance of visitor visas, student and exchange visas, as well as some immigrant visas, with a few exceptions. However, the suspension does not apply to everyone. Exemptions include Nigerians who already have valid U.S. visas, dual citizens using passports from non-affected countries, permanent residents of the U.S., eligible U.S. government workers, and people taking part in major international sports events. The policy applies only to people outside the United States who do not have a valid visa as of January 1st, 2026. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, FIRS says NIN now automatic tax ID. Do stay with us. Now, the Nigerian Bar Association is calling for the suspension of the Tax Reform Act over allegations that some sections of the laws were altered after being passed by the National Assembly. The call follows a claim by a member of the House of Representatives from Sokoto, Abdul Salmad Dasuki, who last week raised concerns about differences between the tax bills approved by lawmakers and the version later gazetted. In a statement today, Tuesday, the NBA says the alleged change raised serious concerns about the integrity, transparency, and credibility of Nigeria's legislative process. The association is therefore calling for a thorough and transparent investigation to explain how the laws were enacted. It also warns that the controversy could have economic consequences, noting that the level of legal and policy uncertainty involved could affect public confidence and decision-making. President Bola Tinubu signed the 4 tax reform bills into law in June after months of debate. Meanwhile, the Federal Inland Revenue Service has issued clarifications in response to concerns over the implementation of the new tax law starting January 2026. The FIRS says the National Identification Number issued by the National Identity Management Commission now serves as a tax identification number for Nigerians. The clarification follows public concerns over provisions in the new tax laws that require a tax ID for certain transactions, including bank account ownership. Data for NIMC shows that about 123.9 million Nigerians had been issued a NIN as of October 2025. In a public awareness message posted on X on Monday, the FIRS also explained that for registered businesses, the Corporate Affairs Commission registration number automatically becomes their tax ID under the new system. In business, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority says petrol supply rose sharply to 71.5 million liters per day in November 2025, up from 46 million liters per day in October. The increase was largely driven by imports carried out by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, which accounted for about 55% of the total petrol supply from both local and international sources. According to the NNDPRA's November 2025 fact sheet released on Monday, national petrol consumption also increased by 44.5%, rising to 52.1 million liters per day in November from 28.9 million liters per day in October. The report shows that domestic refineries supplied about 17.1 million liters of petrol per day during the period, while average daily consumption stood at 52.9 million liters. The authority noted that no production took place at the state-owned refineries in Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna, as all remained shut during the period. It explained that the increased imports were meant to build fuel reserves and ensure steady supply during the period of high demand.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Well, at least 5 people have died after a Mexican Navy aircraft crashed in foggy weather near Galveston, Texas on Monday. While on a medical mission, the aircraft was transporting a child with severe burns and was flying on behalf of the Michu Mao Foundation, an organization that supports Mexican children with serious burn injuries. Mexico's Secretariat of the Navy confirmed that 1 person is still missing, while 2 others were rescued alive.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Well, that's a wrap on the news this afternoon. Before we go, let's have a look at the major headlines. The National Secretary of the APC has endorsed Governor Siminalayi Fubara for a second term. We told you that INEC has set February 21st for by-elections to replace Rivers Assembly members. You have already seen Mexican Navy aircraft has crashed in U.S. Afghanistan. This was stated by Ifunanya Obeme Ndukwe. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I am Ifechukwu Muonyili. Many thanks for listening.